Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of FoolCraft. No crazy intro today. We're going to jump right into it. The thing that is supposed to go in this slot over here is the Infinity Catalyst. And we've got all the things that we need to craft in our inventory, which means we'll get a quest reward, but we're really not very close to getting these things at all. You see, to make a Sword of the Cosmos, we need Infinity Ingots, and then we would need 11 of these things for each Infinity Ingot. That is a crazy amount of resources, and I don't think we've even got enough to make a sword or a basic thing. And my goal in this season is to craft all of the Infinity Armor and the Infinity Tools as well. So we're not really off to a good start, are we? But what we're going to focus on this episode is another way of getting in resources, and one that I think is going to make a big difference. Now that should make a noise on the screen. It does. Amazing. Let's back out of here. Let's go down to this one, which is always very tricky to select. Jeez, do you see the things I have to put up with here? Hi. What do we get? 30 levels of experience. Not really something that we need. But the next step now, of course, is to make the Infinity Ingot. So, let's head up top, and I'll show you... Oh, wait a second, we've got one more thing to do. We're going to put that in the drawer over there. Doesn't it look cool? We're going to head up top, and I'm going to show you what we're going to be using. You might be able to tell from my hotbar that I got some quantum quarries and quarry activators. That's not what they're called, is it? Actuator, probably saying it wrong. And I've had one over here running around the clock, and I've actually got a filter on here that's set to blacklist mode, so it's ditching all of those items, but it's putting the rest into the chest. It's using fortune free as well, and it's gathering up tons and tons of ores. Now, iron and copper and leads and all of this stuff are things that we need to make the singularities, right? So is redstone and lapis as well, and we're getting a lot of these things through this as well. So what if we were to set up several of these? They're relatively cheap to craft. We're farming Nether Stars. Let's just click on that. One for that. You know, some endstone. It's dirt cheap. We could have loads of these running together. We've got power coming from the end dimension, of course, all those solar panels, and we could get, you know, several of these running up together. Now, you might be thinking that we're going to end up with tons more redstone and lapis than the other ores over here. You'd be absolutely right, but it got me thinking that if we do produce more of those things, we can go over to our mystical agriculture farms and we can remove some of those crops, which is actually what I was doing earlier. I was looking at all the ones that are lagging behind. Like on this side, nickel, for example, is lagging behind the other ones, as well as diamonds. And over on this side, things like redstone and quartz are doing really good. So I've actually gone and ripped out some of the redstone and quartz seeds that are in our mystical agriculture farms. So we're not going to produce those as fast anymore. I'm jumping on the wrong one. And we're going to get even more of that stuff over here as well. So we could rip out all of the seeds and just farm it from here. And that means that we can have more seeds for these types of materials. The irons, the silvers, the leads, the aluminiums. But there's another thing that we can do with this as well, and that is triple the amount of material we're going to get out of this. So if we go and look at the different machines, it is the pulverizer over here that can produce 2 pulverized aluminium, which you can smelt into ingots, and some pulverized iron. But with a tectonic initiator, this stuff added to it, we can then triple the amount by providing it with a little bit of fluid. Now this fluid is made from this stuff, peripheum dust. We are currently farming redstone, obsidian, and we've got basalt sticks, so we can turn it into powder. We could automatically pulverize that stuff, and over here the clay we can make from essence. So we've actually got all the things that we need to do that, and that is the project for this episode. So we're back outside the power room. We have the meat room over here for reference. I turned one of those spawners off. I might as well turn off the other one for now. This is kind of pointless because we don't need the meat anytime soon. We got our Nether Star farm over on the opposite side, and hopefully this will be the last piece of the puzzle because over here we're building the next room. So we're going to have a little interface terminal over here. Not sure what we're going to display, but down here we're going to be running 8 quarries at once. We're going Octa something. I think that's Octa sounds like the word. I'm trying to remember. I can never remember anything when I'm in the middle of recording. Anyway, I did a little bit of an experiment a moment ago, and it turns out that these things use 20,000 RF per tick, which is what I've been told via comments. and I had a dimensional transceiver plugged into the one you saw earlier, so that's 40,000. So that means that we could have 4 dimensional transceivers in here, and it can power a whole bunch of these. By the way, these are kind of like nice building blocks. The one in the middle is a little bit too plain. I'd personally like to use these around the place, but I don't think you can place them unless you've got this thing in the middle. What happens if we break that? Oh, they actually kind of stay where they are. So technically you could use it as a building block, but it'd be a bit of a pain in the backside, right? So we'll set up our quarries like this. We're going to probably put a layer of glass over the top and then put some other blocks around this. These things emit light as well, so it's going to be nice and bright in the central part of this room. And then we'll have our dimensional transceiver. You know, I could just put them like that. I was going to use some conduits to move them to either side, but like that gets the job done, doesn't it? So we'll have 4 of them in a row, and then around the rest of this the rest of this room is where the machines and stuff are going to go. So we get to use a block of malachite in here, but this wasn't my original plan. Unfortunately, Chisel is bugged out. No one is around to help me, and I really want to do this build. I was going to go with something like this, a little bit more factory to fit in with the rest of the theme, but you know, a limited amount of blocks available. I was also looking through some of the other building blocks as well, and there weren't too many chiseled variations of these that I wanted to go with. And also the Ender IO, these blocks right here, I really wish they could be a little bit more usable. I don't want to be too critical, but I don't think they're the nicest textures in the world. I'm struggling to type and talk at the same time. But I was thinking about using these side by side, but they're just so flat, and I don't think they're really going to bring a lot to the down area down there. I don't know, maybe I should build it up a little bit and see. I really wish I could craft factory blocks. I'm not really feeling many of these other blocks that I'm trying. And also this glass right here, just trying something different again. I want to keep using different blocks, but it can be hard to find ones that work. Like these Ender IO ones over here, okay? Texture's just way too flat, and the floor kind of looks alright. It'll do, but these ones are going to go. We're going to go with the marble bricks because we can actually craft those. Factory blocks are going to come out of here though. And also I've started doing a little bit of technical stuff. We do have these ender chests here, so this is going to make a loud noise. There you go, and that's where all the items are going to get pumped into. And then of course what we'll do is take all the items coming out of the quarries and we'll deal with them in a different location. Well, I've taken a liking to some blocks here. These 3 ones, which are made out of the ores from the Nether, right? And I kind of got carried away with the cobalt because it matched this. But what I should do is change that to orange and use this one, because then it matches this colour over here. And then we got a bit of a two-tone thing going on, right? Orange and some sort of cyany green and also white, all in the same room. So those ones I think will be a lot more cohesive together. So we'll swap this around and give that a try. And I'm getting way too caught up on aesthetics here. I also found this really nice block of steel. We have a whole bunch of steel stashed away here. Oh, and apparently once I chisel it to that type, I'm not able to chisel it back. So if I want to use this, I should probably be very sure that that's the material I actually want to use. I'm not sure that it looks nicer, but it looks more consistent. And again, I'm getting distracted by aesthetics. But this block here is dark next to this painted glowstone. It looked really gloomy without a light source, so I decided to light it up again. And then I've just been kind of thinking about how to solve this problem. I believe this block is dark because it is a chisel and bits block. So what we can't do is take off the edges of this texture, but what we can do is sort of get into the middle of it. So if we remove all of this, I think we could replace it with glowstone, and then the block would be a little bit brighter. There it is, filling in the gap. Nice. Let's put that painted glowstone back. And then, no, it didn't make a difference. Well, I tried. So I found an interesting solution to a problem, a sort of problem, a problem you could solve in many ways. And by the way, we've got steel wall mounts over here. These things look really cool. They're propping up the ender chests. So this is our master input into our, refined storage. It's called applied energistic system, and then over here is what we get from the quarries. Now there are certain items that we would like to go straight into our main storage, like for example the redstone, the lapis, the Certus quartz can go in there as well, and the way that we're going to do this is by transferring them from one to the other. But if we were to use an Ender IO item conduit, the most we could do is 10 items at once. So I wanted to find something bigger, and doing a little prodding around, I found this modular storage from RF Tools and this storage filter modular. Now that is a large amount of items. It is 6 across, it is 5 down, so it's 30 items in total that it can store, and it's currently in whitelist mode, I believe, which means only those items will be able to go in here. So if I put lapis, redstone and Certus quartz on there, add that to this thing, they're the only items that are allowed to go in there. So we extract on green, we insert on green, and then we extract on brown, and then, yeah, it's basically like it goes into there and it goes into there. So if I chuck some lapis in, that stuff will get moved across, it will go in here, it will also get moved out and put into that chest, as we can see it doing. If I grab something that's not in either of those things, like some ore, it should just stay in this chest because it can't go into that one. So that way, with this thing here, we can basically have a 30 item filter, which is really cool. And I like how that turned out. That was a nice little mini project. So everything that isn't the ores that we're going to be smelting will go onto that filter. I think our chest just filled up. That test didn't last very long. This thing was not going at full speed, which is interesting. We may have to add some conduits to suck out the power of here faster somehow, or there may be another reason. Also, is it putting... It is putting items into there. Okay. One of the things we actually need to do is set up blacklists here as well. 8 of them in total. Like, we don't want cobblestone going to here because it'll fill up very quickly. Dirt as well. I actually have a filter. We need to make this for all 8 of them and possibly put a few more things on them as well. So all the filters have been set up. What's really cool about these is it lets you stack them. So if ever we're going to add more blocks to that, I can sort of pinch them all out at once and then open all 8 at the same time. But things have changed over here. You'll see there's now 3 of these because we need more and more filters. And I think we're also going to use Ender.io to filter some mods out exclusively at some point. As you'll see, these Pam's Harvestcraft things are starting to fill this up, and we also got loads of saplings, so maybe we could do biomes of plenty on a filter as well. That would be pretty smart. And anyway, over on this side we're going for a similar looking setup, but we are passing through 13 different types of ores, and 3 of them are, well actually no, 2 of them are poor ones, right, and they'll produce nuggets and we can't do the tripling thing on them. And the other one is titanium that can't be tripled but produces an ingot. So we might as well process those as well, I figured. And yeah, the rest of these, you can see we've got some of the thermal foundation blocks for them. I got a really cool idea for storage over here, and it involves creating some custom drawers. So the next step is to move all of those things from here into there, and then we'll take from there and move it into the parts where we smelt them. So what we're going to do is use this framing table and put the different types in the inside bit like that, so we get a nice shiny block on the front of the framing drawer. Now I'm only going to do one of each though, so we'll take one of those, that one is for lead, and then we'll do one for copper. And I may actually come and redo these and change the textures based on consistency, because some of the other ones might not have textures that look like this. We will have to investigate. You've always got to place these drawers on top of something as well. So for this other one, it'll go along the side there. But we now know what's going into these two. It's going to be copper and lead. I do have copper. I don't think I have lead. So that's what our drawing system is going to look like. It's going to be, I think, 5x3, so it'll have room for 15, but 2 of them won't be used right now, because I figured some of you are probably going to tell me that I could add like a particular biome over here and get other ores as well, which is a really cool idea, and we could potentially expand this a little bit. So just thinking ahead there. So a change of plans, a simplifying of ideas, and as always I kind of like to keep this process in my videos so you can see how we get from one step to another. I kind of realised that we were creating 2 sets of filters, one that says every other item that ends up in here, and then the other list is the items that we want to keep. So it actually kind of makes sense to do it like this with a priority system. So what we have here is priority 1, and over there we have priority -1. So if it's on this filter list, which is the 13 different types of ore, it goes into this one, and if it's not, it goes into that one over there. So it does the same job, but with a lot less pain in the butt for us. I also realised this thing can do with some upgrades, and then that means this thing should be very zippy now, and we shouldn't see anything there at all. I've also then moved this stuff over to here, so it fits into this space, gives us more room for the machines over there, because I was going to squeeze everything into this space, keeping the room symmetrical and such, and didn't feel like that would work. Now you may notice there's some different textures operating over here, and what we've got in this chest is all of the thermal chisel types for all the different blocks. Now I'm going to go and well, throw away all the equivalents of these from my storage system in a moment, because these were brought in with creative mode. Some of these are actually not obtainable at the moment due to a glitch. Like, you can't get any of the gold blocks on Chisel, which is a bug, so I had to use creative mode to get to those, and it's probably the same for a few of the other ones as well. So I was trying to get to them and I couldn't, but those textures are all trying to imitate the thermal texture, and I think it's just these 4 at the top here, the only ones that are actually using the thermal texture. And so I've sort of mixed and matched them to the ores a little bit, and there's a space free over there. So that's all fully upgraded with void upgrades as well. It's storing tons and tons of stuff. We're going to send it around the corner, and 3 things will go into the first part, which are the poor leads, the poor silver is it, and the titanium, these 3 at the top here. Those ones can only be smelted straight away. So we're going to have an array of about 8 of these, I reckon, in a row, maybe actually a row of 4 stacked on top of another one. And then over on this side is where we're going to have our pulverizers. So what we do is we send all the other ores that I just described over to the pulverizer, and then on the wall here in the middle we will create a system to get the liquid into this stuff over here. Now, as well as that, I also have some of these upgrade kits in my inventory, but I actually think they're not the top one, and that is a creative kit, so we can't use that. But these come out of loot bags, and it's the only one to come out of loot bags. It's strange that none of the other ones do, but if we search up thermal, you can see I've got quite a lot of them, and I think we can use them to craft the top level one as well, possibly. Something like that. I'm not sure 100% what we need. So some of our machines have been put to work, and yeah, there you go. They've filled up with nuggets already, and those ingots, those are the ones that we are sending straight to the furnaces. So we're going to use the green channel to do that, and because of that we've got a few conduits up the top here. I guess I'm going to have to create a blacklist filter down here for those 3 types so they don't get extracted. But on another channel we're going to come around here and then go all the way over to this part. So actually what I should be doing really is sending that upwards to connect with this bit. I was going to sort of go off on a second path. But anyway, all the machines have been upgraded to the top level. And over on this side, I've sorted it out so that we can get more secondary output. I've also put in this thing so it runs a little bit faster and increases the efficiency. And then we've got that in there for the liquid that we're going to be creating. So this is actually kind of finished. I just need to choose what upgrades to put into it, and I was looking at what's available. I think it's literally just 4 of these, which means it's going to soak up a lot more juice but also run faster overall. It's going to cost us more energy, but what's the harm in that? I mean, we're farming so much of it, it's kind of ridiculous. So I'm setting these ones up so they can insert and extract. We are extracting on channel blue, which is going to be the color of our final output. So with this one having input green, that means we need to configure these to do the same thing, to insert on brown, which is where they're coming from over there, and it's blacklisted, and then they're going to extract on green. Now I've set this one up with blue and orange here, and I think it's red and orange together. These things all count on that bit, but I'm not 100% sure. And you can also see that it does the job without this stuff over here as well. So it'll work without liquids, and I was kind of hoping it didn't, so we can get a good idea of how much liquid we need to pump into this. So we're going to have to be very careful with how we do this, and we might have trouble putting the liquid in because this thing here isn't selected. If I mess around with that, it never actually is. It doesn't give us a colour there, so I'm not sure if that means we need to put some liquid conduits at the top here, or if we can join them up with the power and the item ones at the back. So that is something that we've got to find out, but I guess the next thing to do is to actually make the liquid. So to make our tectonic petroleum, we need some clay. So this is me adding clay into the system, and bam, like that, it's crafting loads of it. We're going to need some upgrades over here. No, it's fully upgraded. Look at that. It's filled up all of this. I guess it does 24 at once, so it'll be a while before all of that unpacks. One thing I haven't done is given it a drawer, actually, and we should probably put it into a compacting drawer as well. Is there any space left? There is. We're going to chuck it into that one there, and there you go. It's filling up. Awesome. Alright, we're at that stage already. We're making this stuff. It's got no power, so it won't do anything yet. I've also used the remember layout feature, so these slots are all reserved for those materials. And this thing over here I thought wasn't working, so I disabled it with redstone temporarily. It's got a nullification chamber, okay, so let's go and enable it. It's having the basalt rod pumped into it. It's doing its job, but it's also creating pulverized obsidian. If we read this, it says destroys excess secondary output. So I believe when this is full, that's going to stop working. Now that's important because I was thinking about pumping these into, you know, a storage drawer or something to make use of it, but the problem is if ever it gets backed up, it stops this stuff from being produced. So that should help, and it should end up putting some of it in here, I believe, although we've kind of configured it so it's only doing one type on the side. Right, now it put in that stuff, okay, and that one will do both. So if ever this gets filled up with pulverized obsidian, I believe it will start to destroy the stuff once that bit fills up. Hopefully we'll be able to observe this. Over on this side, we're working with pulverized obsidian, and I think what I've got to do is set that to blue. And then there it is. Excellent. Yeah, so the obsidian comes in this time. And there we go. The magma crucibles are fired up. They've been fully upgraded. We put this little conduit here to extract from there and move it across. And everything is just dandy at the moment. It's all working. So next up are some liquid conduits, I guess. Well, no setup required. It's going straight in there. Because these things are... Well, we've got to click on the right tab. Which one is it? There we go. It's in and out by default, although the extract is disabled. And it accepts it from the back there, so it's all good to go. I guess we just got to set up the item channel now to move these things out into the smelting operation on that side. And then we should get more output from this tectonic perithium. This is potentially the last of all of the setup right now. I don't think there is anything left to do if this works. Now it's going to be zapping through that juice, so we probably want to keep an eye on these and see if they keep up. Looks like it's lagging a little bit behind at the moment. One thing to keep in mind is that this one is going to be run around the clock at the moment. And look at that. This one over here isn't doing anything. This one is the closest, so I'm guessing if this runs all the way down, the second one kicks in. So it kind of looks like we'll be fine, actually, as all of these over here are now running. That's pretty cool. I hope that's enough to keep up because it doesn't seem very fast. We might end up having to put an extra array down the bottom here. The furnaces seem to be doing fine, and that's because they go a lot faster. Look at that. Yeah, so we only need to use about 5 of them at once by the looks of it for all of these over here. So I think it actually makes sense to add some extra machines over on this side. So another row added, but they're not using the liquid at the moment. As you can see, there's none going into here. There are liquid conduits correctly set up, and I think the problem here is that once you've set up your conduit network for liquids and the liquid goes inside, if you add more into it, the liquids don't pass into those new conduits, which means I have to kind of undo all of what we originally built and then add it again, which really sucks, but it should solve the problem. Alright then, let's see what happens. Set this one here to auto extract, and liquids are going into that one, they're going into this one, and they're going into the ones at the bottom. There we go, that's how you solve the problem. So this project's been running overnight, and because of that we've got a massive stockpile of resources back here. Iron is starting to fill up. Actually no, that's something different, isn't it? Poor iron ore and poor nickel ore. We haven't seen those before, and I'm going to guess that those get smelted straight into nuggets. So I could probably put the poor iron into that one right there for now. Maybe change the frame material. So many details and fussy stuff to go over with this. But here's the other thing that I'm thinking of doing. We might just put a row of these on the bottom on this side, move those pulverizers over to here, and then build another row as well, because these things are kind of slow, and if we need even more space than that, we can move this thing upwards and, you know, add even more pulverizers. But for now, I'm just going to leave this thing running, as soon I will be going away on my skiing vacation, and that means that this thing's going to be running around the clock for a long time. So when I come back, we can then look at the status of all of these ores and see if this system keeps up with all of that. Now that we are producing more materials, we need to go into a mystical agricultural farms, and we need to rejiggle all of the seeds that are planted there. So diamonds being the one with the least, we're actually going to go ahead and remove all of the diamond seeds. Do you know why? Because diamond singularity isn't used in this crafting recipe. Neither is the emerald one, and I don't know how I didn't see this before, but you know how it is. There's all these singularities, they're being used to craft something, you don't read each of them individually, and it's kind of odd that there would be singularities that aren't used, right? So, I'm not surprised I missed that one. Also, you lot missed it as well. Before you leave a comment calling me a derp, okay? I went back and I read through my comments. All of the top comments on the last couple of videos, nothing to do with the diamond chickens being pointless because we don't need the diamond singularity. I can barely believe it. Anyway, so what we're going to do is go in. We're going to remove all of the redstone seeds. We'll remove all of the quartz seeds. Maybe copper, definitely lapis. Probably just those three. And then we're going to focus on the ones that have the lowest, which is going to be nickel, silver, leads, and tin. And of course, we're going to move the diamonds and the emeralds as well. We're not done yet, but I've gone through this massive farm, top to bottom. Probably haven't removed everything on the list, and I actually made, a proper list. What am I opening here? Oh, I'm inside the hitbox of that. So that has a smaller collision box, but a full-size hit block. It's always kind of confusing. So I did make a list. Redstone, quartz, lapis, diamond, and emerald have mostly been removed from this. And then the seeds you see in my inventory that ain't those ones are the ones that we're going to plant down here. Something rather interesting has happened at a very interesting time. I can't put this into here, and that probably means my disk drives are full. Now, I was aware that they would eventually fill up, but I didn't think it would be this soon. So it could be that our quarry is now backed up from all the new items that it's pumping in. And if you look at that, that's a good sign that things aren't entirely right here. What I'm going to do is make another ME drive, slap it down next to this one. We're going to move all the disks from there to here, and we'll see what's inside of them so we know what things need to be moved into storage drawers. So this is very telling. Seeds probably don't have a place to go. We got some new wood types coming through from the quarry that need a home. And then the ones at the top here are the biggest, really. So ender nuggets, what are those used for? Possibly nothing, according to this. Probably just for feeding the pets. So that one needs to be put into a drawer. So does the prosperity shard. And then iron nuggets. They're not working with the compacting drawers, are they? Well, something ain't right here. These drawers have void upgrades, so what they should do is take in items from the disks. I've been running them through that machine that'll put them into other parts of our network, right? And charged Certus quartz and another one was clay are still in those disk drives. We've got a drawer for clay down here, so I don't know what's going on with that. But we've now filled up all of these spaces over here, and also I've added some upgrades to these ones as we're storing wood over here as well. But I've got to go through the rest of the discs first, but it seems like some items aren't going into the correct places. Well then, we are all prepared to leave the quarry running for a long time. I've got some torches here though, because I noticed we had 5 million nether stars. That means we can do whatever we want with these. And I was flicking through the uses of them, and I noticed something. This thing right here, the beneath. Now, on Project Ozone, I've gone to a dimension called the Deep Dark, and it wasn't what I expected it to be. And now I realise that there are two similar things, the beneath and the Deep Dark, right? And I think this is the one with the hands that appears on the screen. So we're actually just going to slap this down and go and check it out. I think this is the one where you click on it, or shift click on it. There you go. And that was seriously creepy. And this is the dimension that I thought it was, right. Maybe this is a place, is this its own biome? The beneath is its own biome, so it might be a place that we want to mine with our quarries. It might give us some extra ores or something like that. We're going to experiment with all of that stuff in the future, but hopefully next time I come onto the server... I was about to say yikes. What have you got on your head, man? That's a fancy looking... I ain't got my sword. I am unprepared. Very unprepared. Don't shoot at me. Those skeletons are such butt kickers, man. They get you from so far away. I could do with some night vision in here, really, couldn't I? And wow, there's a lot of baddies on us all of a sudden. Let's eat some cosmic meatballs, which are not in my offhand for some reason. Now it won't let me eat them. Jeez, right. There we go. And what did I say? Night vision? We're going to slap that on in here, make everything nice and clear. Wow, purple. Really cool effect. Spider on a pole. I don't know if there's anything here. I can't see anything straight away. There might be something useful. I don't know. But that's the beneath dimension, right? And this explains my confusion between this one and the Deep Dark. I'm also taking a little bit of damage. It might be because I'm in darkness. We're just going to pop back through to this world, and I'm going to pick this thing back up. Just wanted to see what that was all about, and that's going to be the end of it this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it, and hopefully in the next one we will finally be doing some infinity crafting. Let's cross our fingers and hope that the setup we built today will provide us with the resources we need. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.